Hey YouTube, it's Chuck. Version 10.69.2.2 dropped early this morning to a handful of beta testers, and I did an unprotected left-hand turns video this morning. If you haven't watched that video yet, you need to go watch it. It got all of them. 100% of the turns were successful this morning. That's the first time that's happened, and it felt I had the confidence I wanted on that version. The creeping was better and things like that were better. But of course, specific testing for a specific turn that has had a lot of work done on it is not how you do testing, but I did want to get that video out first. So this is my Memorial Park drive. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I've changed up the route a little bit to hopefully create a little bit more dynamic neighborhood type of turn here, where I'm going to get the turn off of here and then I hope it comes back around. But anyway, it'll take us through Riverside, and that's exactly what I wanted to happen, and through Stockton Park, and then through to Memorial Park, and then back. So here we go. This is the unprotected right-hand turn. The creeping was much aggressive this morning, but it was much better. So it should go in the right-hand lane right now. Let's see what the jerk acceleration looks like this morning. Light, maybe a little bit low, but smooth as butter. So we should be turning right here down Verona Avenue. Now the reason I'm adding this one is because this has a bunch of speed bumps on it, similar to my unmarked roads video. Nice right-hand turn, smooth, no problems there. And these bumps normally, it hits them a little hard. Let's see if I get a decel here. Hey, there's a decel, I feel it. 23, okay. Just checking my camera's set up here. A little bit fast, going around a parked mail truck. Slowed for the mail truck. That was nice. That was nice. I'm just gonna slow this down a bit to 25 so it doesn't hit it too hard. Hopefully it'll slow down for this one. This is well painted. There we go. Up, over, down. That was a big hump. I wish it had gone even down to 15. I hit that one at about 10 to 15. And then now let's see what we get here. It definitely feels like 16 or 17 is its target speed for those turns there. So that was good. All right, so this is a very interesting intersection that I don't film very often, but I do drive it very often. There's kind of a good bird's eye view of it. It's got a funky intersection. The visibility is fine. It's just kind of funky the way it's laid out with this little stop sign on the median, but it did a nice job there. That was fine. And sometimes it used to get confused whether it was supposed to go to the right of that stop sign or not. I'm going to quick edit my trip so that it does not stop here. This is the way I'm trying to use these destination waypoints to manipulate my drive, and that's exactly what I wanted. Great. Okay. School zone here. We are outside of the school zone window, but this is another school zone where these signs give time-based kind of speed limits that I have not yet seen acknowledged yet. So I guess not a lot to hope for there, but I didn't test it on this version yet, but didn't see anything in the release notes. The release notes looked identical to the previous versions, so just guessing this is a polish. So this is a left turn here with a flashing yellow just to kind of make everybody be careful here. And it did that just fine. Speed limit is posted at 35. Feels a little bit fast, but it's a posted speed limit, so I'm just going to let it do it. Here's another school zone sign there that talks about speed limits during certain hours. So when we think that gets mentioned in the release notes, I have a lot of use cases to test school zones here. All right, gonna be going across the drawbridge. I've done this a few times. The interesting thing about the drawbridge, it is one of the last remaining manned drawbridges in the United States. But the railroad crossing type of crossbars and the lights are all just generically being rendered as stoplights here. And you kind of see how they just kind of put a stoplight asset everywhere, that there's kind of one of these flashers. We're still waving at Teslas in Jacksonville. There's quite a few of them now, but I know out in California and San Francisco and the Valley, there's so many of them you don't wave anymore. But we still are waving here. All right, so those of you that are very familiar with this route I drive for Memorial Park, right here at this next intersection, we are rejoining the part where I normally turn left. Now we're turning right. And then we'll go in through those couple roundabouts, and it looks like it's, I might want to take us through Riverside. All right, we got it protected right here. Looks like it's stopping. All right, I added another destination to make sure we went through Riverside, which is that area with a lot of pedestrians. There we go. I need to get a little bit more refined at this. So right now I could be turning right on red, and it's not. I'm okay. There's a car behind me. I'm just gonna let it ride here unless he honks at me. He might honk at me any second now. It turned green and then it went. So I just waited. It does not say no right on red anywhere there, but it could have gone. Ooh, interesting scenario with a biker here. He's got a little rearview mirror, so he probably sees me. He was outside of the lane. It didn't deviate, but you can tell it paused a little bit for him there. So there was a good VRU acknowledgement there, even though he was not in the drivable space. Still looking for this section here on the right to one day be marked as parking spaces. Right now with the cars, you can see it, but when the cars are not there, it just has it as drivable space with the red line going all the way to the right edge. It doesn't center over there. It's kind of creating a false line there, as you can see occasionally. Tap on the brakes there just as we approach this pedestrian crossing zone with no pedestrians. And now we're coming up on these unmapped roundabouts. I'm pulling the map here just so you can see that the road goes straight on the map, but they've added two little roundabouts with yield signs here. So let's see how it handles this. I do have a car right behind me. There's a yield and it's stopping and then it proceeded. Okay, it acted like a stop sign. It did not need to do that. It's proceeding cautiously. Now it's progressing there. A lot more hesitation than the car behind me expected. The car did just fine. It was completely safe, but there were definitely some pauses in there that I was noticing and uncomfortable with. Okay, it should be merging. Now that one, it didn't pause at all. So that's interesting. So it just kind of ran right through that one. But either way, it handled both unmapped roundabouts just fine. Couple pauses, but no complaints. All right, now we're on the S-curve. And the S-curve is more of just a test of, are they still using blinkers when you turn a certain number of degrees? And coming up on these next couple curves is when blinkers normally happen erroneously. No blinker there. I think this next one is where I normally get it. Yep, there it is. Okay, so the blinkers are still there. I'm gonna tag the record icon, and I usually get another one here on the left. There's the second one. All right, got a little bit of construction going on with some cones. Don't see any men standing outside with any signs. That was fine. Right at the speed limit. No issues there. So far, it feels pretty smooth. Hadn't had a lot of VRU interactions yet. Just those couple pauses in the roundabouts, I think would be the only notable point so far. All right, this little village is called Riverside. Avondale, I'm sorry. It's called Avondale more than Riverside in Jacksonville on the west side of the St. Johns River. Just usually there's just a lot going on here, and it's completely stopping here for something I don't see. Oh, I'm sorry. Ignore Chuck. That was my destination that I set in there. I'm not an expert at this, so I'm continuing manually. Okay, so it did. That was normal. I had hit that point in there for the waypoint to take me this direction, and it paused right where it was supposed to. So no issues here in Riverside, Avondale. Interesting, it's kind of going about 28 or 29 when the speed's 30. I'm okay with that. I'm just there now. It's kind of getting up to 30. I was wondering if it was slowing for something specific. I didn't feel the brakes tug. It just didn't completely accelerate up to the speed. which is fine. Got a workman coming out there with some cones. Didn't even pause, and he's already in the road behind me, so he walked right behind the car. That might have been a VRU sensitivity that it would have paused on the previous build. It's a little tough to tell with just an end count of 1. This trailer here is in the road just a little bit. It didn't over deviate, especially since that car was coming from the other side. It stayed right in the center of the lane. All right, I'm feeling it slow down. Doors open, bus on the other side, pedestrian on the side, a nice route. That was perfect. I noticed the slowdown. The bus was in the other side, so the car had to make the decision of slowing down for that door opening. Flashing yellow here, still getting a little bit of red in those yellow lights there. Okay, 2 bikers here, one on the left, one on the right. It is deviating the path a little bit around the one on the right. That was fine. That was not overly sensitive to that VRU at all. Felt a little bit of a slowdown there with that pedestrian possibly coming out on the left, but it was just a couple miles an hour. That wasn't unusual. Okay, now we're taking a quick left here, then a quick right. Looks like this light is a flasher right now. Sometimes this light is turned on, so it's gonna have to yield on this one. Let's see how it handles it. Stopped. Blinker. Completely yielded. Completely yielded. Interesting. I disengage right there only because I need to adjust a camera. So I'm going to pull off here in a second and adjust a camera and then get going again. We're back at it here, and I'm trying a new camera mount, and it kind of didn't do what I wanted to do. I'm not sure if it's going to work or not in the post-production, but if you see it, let me know what you think. In any case, we're still here right next to the hospital, proceeding right where I'll probably clip the video just to adjust the camera. Potholes right here, a little bit of standing water. Yeah, I didn't avoid any of the potholes, so that's still not in there yet. I was driving in a lot of rain this last few days, this weekend, and it does seem to want to go around very large puddles if it can. It kind of marks the edge of the puddle as its drivable space. I did notice that this weekend. All right, slowing down for this lead car who is slowing for the pedestrian. I guess I wish I had been the lead car in that scenario, just to see what would have happened. Because this is one of the, you must stop when somebody is in the crosswalk kind of pedestrian yield signs. All right, looks like our light just turned yellow. With another pedestrian probably going to walk across the street. And just on the other side of this light, we are at Memorial Park. And we will do our return, see how it goes. I'd say I'm pretty impressed. It's really hard to tell version to version, other than the nuances you feel when you're driving with the tugs and the accelerations and the reaction to the VRUs, the pedestrians and the bikers. But when it kind of goes smooth, or when you say wow every once in a while, it's just an empirical way to say, it's working pretty good. I guess that's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. It's just that it feels pretty good. This version 69 has had, the very first one, I guess you could call it 69.0, was the one where my unprotected lefts were amazing. and then the .1 came out, and you know, that one wasn't so great. Then the .2 came out, and it was, you know, went out to a lot more people, but was noticeably worse to a lot of people. And then here we are on 2.2, and you know, it's kind of feeling like it did on that first version 69. And I guess you could say the same with my unprotected left-hand turns also. All right, so here we are at this kind of three-way intersection a little bit with a sharp turn to the left. And where the creep limit is always interesting on this one, because the geometry is not straight. And, you know, it did just fine there. It acted a little bit differently today than it did normally. It felt like it was hanging a little bit more to the right. The creep limit looked like it was pretty far out there in that intersection. But due to the depth of that corner, you do have a long ways you can creep out to get the necessary visibility. Slowing down nicely. Let's see what this reacceleration feels like. That was completely fine there. I wouldn't say it was strong or anything. Yeah, that was good. Feeling a couple slowdowns here, just slightly. Can't see anything that it's seeing other than just the cars parked on the side of the road, and it may be anticipating a door opening or something like that. I didn't see anything else to slow down for. Nice. All right, now we're back here with a few follow me cars, and the route should have us. Yeah, this is the typical route that's going to get us out to do that one unprotected left here at the end. So this should be the standard drive many of you may be familiar with. Little yellow light, completely went for it, didn't pause. I'm happy with that. Tiny little blinker there on that turn. Not sure why it did that. Those blinkers. All right, slowing down for this green intersection. That probably for that car that was doing a protected left there. All right, we do have some trucks here, some flashing lights, some oncoming cars, so it's got to kind of squeeze in here. And this car is definitely sticking out. And wow, it did that just fine. It didn't even slow down for that. I expected it to pause. So that might mean it slows down when the oncoming traffic is going to meet at what we would call constant bearing decreasing range, where you're going to intersect at the same time, at the same point. And maybe because it saw that oncoming car as not being a factor, it went around that, that truck without any issues. That was good. One word I would just say is confidence. It feels confident. The VRU sensitivity on that last version, Elon even talked about it. You know, he said expect it to be, you know, sensitive. I feel that may be gone in this release. We got a couple. This is going to be interesting. Is he going to walk all the way out? He just walked to the bed of his truck, which wasn't all the way out, and it didn't flinch. That was good. Another good interaction. You know, that him stepping into the road on that previous version would have probably created a pause. Another flashing yellow, didn't even break 1 mile an hour. That was good. And we should be turning right here at this, just after this little Y intersection sign that is not mapped in any way. There's usually a little cone right here marking a pothole. Doesn't see the cone yet. There, did it go around it? It never mapped the cone. It did have a little UFO network there just for a bit, but it went wide enough that I wasn't concerned about it hitting the cone. So interesting how it didn't render it. Okay, taking a left here, this is a two-way stop with a little bit of an obscuration to the left. So it needs to use this creep. There's usually very low traffic here and it's low speed, so it's wide open. Let's see where it commits. Okay, I feel like I'm in the road completely when it committed there. So that's back to that, at some point when you're in the road, it doesn't do you much good to creep. Well, unless there's no oncoming cars, and you could say no harm, no foul. So I would need to actually have a scenario where it stayed in the road with an oncoming car to criticize it too much. Okay, so lots of parked cars on the side of the road here. Got a couple of yellow flashers coming up. Just noticing the speed here right at 28 or 29 as it kind of goes by these cars. I think I'm kind of feeling that it's being cautious that these doors might open. There's another pause to 28. As it goes by these cars, it's sort of just being ready for the possibility of somebody jumping out, which is very thoughtful. Let's see if it does it again on these parked cars. Yep, right around 28. So it's knocking 2 miles an hour off the speed limit as it goes adjacent to parked cars. Let's see if we can do it again. See if we, okay, we're all the way back up to 30 here. See if we go back to 28 adjacent these cars. 20, 29. Yeah, maybe not. Here's a large brush pile. A couple UFO depictions there. There's another little tap of the brakes down to 28. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's honoring the trash cans, the cars, or what, but it's giving a little bit of attention there. All right, coming up through another school zone that is not currently limited, meaning like we're not in the time frames, but there is a lot of activity in parked cars here because school is in session today. And we have the other unmarked roundabout. Just to kind of remind you, this is that other side of that roundabout that is not on the map. So it needs to kind of go through it and 180 degrees out. It's treating the yield sign as a stop, which it's not supposed to. It's being cautious, entering, and it's doing this on vision because it's not on the map. And then it proceeded through. So it's treating the yields as a stop, which is not the purpose of a, oh boy. Okay, it hadn't done that before. So it's looking for this right turn that's on the map, and it missed its drivable space. Now it needs to go to the right. Come on, come on, come on, commit. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna just map that because it did it correctly. If I was a passenger in the back of a robo-taxi one day and it did that, I'd kind of be like, where are you going? But it didn't do anything unsafe. What you can see on the screen there is the map. It had the turn in a different location. Okay, it's slowing down for this car, tight area, just giving him room around that other tractor, which was good. Even though that truck is the one had the car going the other way. Anyway, back to that turn. The map data wasn't matching what vision was seeing, so it was essentially having to kick over and find the right turn visually, even though the map data said it had already passed it. It had a little bit of a curb area where it kind of started to map that drivable space with that lane network, and it kind of teased it to go a little bit early. All right, we've got an unprotected left-hand turn here onto busy Roosevelt Boulevard. This one has been a mixed bag in the past. There is a stoplight 1 block to the left that has created a nice gap here, so it should go straight to the median or all the way. All right, it kind of stopped in a bad spot there. Let's see if it gets itself in the median here nicely. It really did. I cannot complain there on that. So I'm throwing up the camera so you can see out the right repeater. That truck is letting me go, and I don't know if it's gonna take it. Oh, it took it. Oh, go, 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 go. Yes, it did it. So it honored that truck behind me leaving a space as this traffic accelerated. That, I need to think about that to see if I've ever had that happen before, because on all of my other unprotected lefts, it's been waiting on the traffic to be clear. Granted, the traffic was moving in those scenarios, but in that scenario, the polite truck behind me left a gap so that after the light turned green, I could get in, and the car took the spot and went for it. So that was another really good behavior there. All right, the rest of this drive is actually pretty straightforward. Here's another yellow. Did it stop? Is it stop? Oh boy, interesting. It acted like it was gonna stop, but it committed. So that was a actual slowdown in the intersection, but then it said never mind, which was fine. It was good, but I was afraid it was gonna do something completely different, like stop in the intersection, and it didn't. So that is pure polish right there. Liking that. So just as I said, the rest of this drive is straightforward. We get another unique use case. That's fascinating. We have two more lights, one more unprotected left at a light. Excuse me. But I think I'm going to start wrapping this up just to kind of talk about it. So I did change the route on Memorial Park Drive a little bit to go through the neighborhood with those speed bumps, and then go across the drawbridge. So I'd like to hear from some commenters below if you thought that was a better addition than just jumping out right on the highway and then disengaging to modify the route. If you like that better, I'll keep doing it. I think that if I were to give this an overall, what do I think on this half hour, kind of a normal drive, I'd say it feels tighter, meaning like it's got confidence. It's not overreacting to anything. Some very subtle pauses, I think, around parked cars, which is okay. It didn't overreact to any bikers or VRUs that were near the road but didn't jump out. I think that the slowdowns in the roundabout and the roundabout yields being treated as rolling stops is a little bit, probably needs a little bit more work. I don't do a lot of roundabouts here. Guys like Chris at Dirty Tesla, he's probably a better person to run the roundabouts through the ringer. Yeah, and like I said at the beginning of the video, if you haven't watched the unprotected left video from this morning, you ought to take some time and watch it. It got all of them this morning, and I love it when it happens that way, because it's just fascinating to watch the car work and to really solve complex problems that are unique every single time. Okay, looks like our stoplight is presenting us with what will be a green arrow this time, so we don't get the benefit of a decision for an unprotected left. Oh, wait a minute, maybe we do. Ah, look at that. It turned green without the arrow, and he has the right of way. Stop. Okay, we ruined a perfectly good drive with the car baited me. Did you see that? The car baited me with his waiting on me, not waiting on me, waiting on me, not waiting on me, and the car took it. And once it went into the lane, I had to proceed. Anyway, well, that's why it's beta. That's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This was a really good drive. That little scenario there at the end is an interesting use case that'll be hard to replicate, where a human is waiting even though he has the right of way, but the creeps just made it seem like he was waiting and the car took it. Interesting. All right, guys, have a great day.